It was separation Saturday, at least to a large extent, this weekend as Oregon and Michigan State wrote themselves out of the playoff race and our playoff field diminished in a big way. Right now my playoff 4 would be 1. Georgia 2. Ohio State 3. Alabama 4. Cincinnati. But I think if Oklahoma or Oklahoma State can finish 12-1 and win the Big 12, they have a good shot to still snag a playoff spot too. I'll explain below, but let's get rolling with the starting 11.1. Ohio State destroys Michigan State and rises to number 2 overall in my playoff field. Columbus, Ohio, November 20th. C.J. Stroud, number 7 of the Ohio State Buckeyes, throws a pass during the first half of a game against the Michigan State Spartans at Ohio Stadium on November 20, 2021 in Columbus, Ohio. But the truth is none of this really matters at all if the Buckeyes don't beat Michigan and Wisconsin. Because a 2-loss Ohio State would face a significant uphill battle to make the playoff. Last week I told you guys that 2-loss teams could find their way into the playoff mix. That remains possible, which I will discuss below.
But in the meantime there are 2 teams left alive for the playoff from the Big Ten, Ohio State and Michigan. If the Wolverines win out, I know no one expects this, especially Wolverine fans, and beat Ohio State and Wisconsin, they are in the playoff 2.2. The Big 12 isn't in awful shape for a playoff spot. With both Oklahoma and Oklahoma State winning, a 1-loss team is guaranteed to be in the Big 12 playoff game. If Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State, we'll get a rematch in the Big 12 title game between these 2 teams. If Oklahoma State beats Oklahoma and then Baylor beats Texas Tech, then Oklahoma State would play Baylor in the Big 12 title game. Either way, a 1-loss Big 12 champion, in my opinion, would probably be in the playoff. Yes, I think 12-1 Oklahoma State or 12-1 Oklahoma as a Big 12 champ would end up ranked ahead of Cincinnati or Notre Dame. That means, of course, we'd need a massive change in the playoff rankings. Right now Oklahoma State is 9th and Oklahoma is 13th. I'd wager both will make significant jumps this coming week because the playoff committee is going to see the way this is shaping up and will provide a big jump over the next couple of weeks for both teams. Point 3. The SEC is officially set for Georgia and Alabama in the SEC title game. Georgia defensive lineman Jordan Davis is lifted into the air by running back Zamir White and defensive lineman Justin Schaefer after scoring a touchdown in the first half of an NCAA college football game against Charleston Southern, Saturday, November 20th, 2021, in Athens, Georgia. Georgia, once they beat Georgia Tech on Saturday, will officially stamp their playoff ticket. Alabama, which figures to be around a 3-point underdog in the SEC title game, would make the playoff if the Tide beat Auburn this coming weekend and then Georgia. But a 2-loss Tide team could still be in the mix if chaos happens. What would chaos look like? Wisconsin wins the Big 10 and a 2-loss team wins the Big 12. Then Cincinnati potentially loses. Would you take 1-loss Cincinnati, 1-loss Notre Dame, or 2-loss Alabama or Ohio State? I'm just saying, don't underestimate the chances of 2-loss teams getting involved in playoff discussions before all is said and done. 4. Is the Pac-12 done in the playoff race? Probably. Oregon needs a great deal of chaos now to find itself back in the mix. And even if Oregon came back to beat Utah in the Pac-12 title game, the loss to Stanford looks so bad now and the method in which they were beaten by Utah would be tough to overcome. I think the Pac-12, yet again, is going to miss the playoff. Point 5. What about Cincinnati? I have Cincinnati at number 4 in my playoff rankings right now, but I think Cincinnati would get caught and passed by a 12-1 Big 12 champ if Georgia, Ohio State, and Alabama ended up taking the top 3 spots. The Bearcats need some of the following to happen: win out, then Georgia to beat Alabama, Wisconsin to beat Ohio State, a 2-loss Big 12 champ, and Utah to win the Pac-12. If all that happened, They'd 100% be in. Right now the most likely playoff scenario in my opinion would be this one. 13-0 Georgia 2. 12-1 Ohio State 3. 12-1 Oklahoma or 12-1 Oklahoma State 4. 13-0 Cincinnati, 11-1 Notre Dame would be the 5th ranked team in this scenario. Point 6. Okay, give me the craziest playoff scenario you can come up with. College football fans love, absolutely love, chaos playoff scenarios. So here's my total chaos scenario. Georgia beats Alabama. Wisconsin beats Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. Baylor beats Oklahoma State in the Big 12 title game. Cincinnati loses one of its final 2 games. Utah beats Oregon and wins the Pac-12 with 3 losses. Clemson wins the ACC with 3 losses. And Notre Dame loses to Stanford. Georgia is still in here as your 1 seed. But who are the other 3 playoff teams? You'd have 11-2 Alabama, 11-2 Ohio State, 11-2 Big 12 champ Baylor, 10-3 Big 10 champ Wisconsin, 10-3 Pac-12 champ Utah, 10-3 ACC champ Clemson, 10-2 Notre Dame, and 12-1 Cincinnati, all contending for playoff bids. I tend to think your playoff would end up looking like this if the total chaos scenario arrived. 1. 13-0 Georgia 2. 11-2 Baylor 3. 11-2 Alabama 4. 10-3 Wisconsin. But your guess would be as good as mine. This would be a total and complete mess. And my point remains the same. We are entering into the final week of the regular season when only Georgia can feel 100% confident about its playoff spot. Look out. 7. What does FanDuel make the national title odds? Georgia-125 Ohio State 3-1 Alabama 4-1 Oklahoma State 40-1 Cincinnati 40-1 Oklahoma 50-1 Michigan 50-1 Notre Dame 60-1 Pittsburgh 200-1 Baylor 200-1 Wisconsin 200-1 Utah 300-1 Iowa 300-1 Oregon 300-1. Essentially, odds makers at FanDuel are throwing up their hands and saying they have no idea who the 3rd and 4th playoff teams will be. If Georgia beats Alabama, then I think you'd get Cincinnati and the Big 12 champion as the 4 playoff teams. Point 8. The Florida Gators are now 2-8 in their last 10 games against Power 5 conference opponents. Florida head coach Dan Mullen walks with his team to the field prior to an NCAA college football game against Missouri, Saturday, November 20, 2021, in Columbia, Missouri. That's frankly an unbelievable stat. Mullen has become such a laughingstock in the SEC that Mizzou's Eli Drinkwitz trolled his Darth Vader Halloween costume press conference last year with his own Star Wars press conference. Now Dan Mullen has to be at Florida State on Saturday to get bowl eligible. As bad as things have been for the Seminoles, and make no mistake, they have been bad, FSU could make a bowl this year and Florida couldn't, since both teams enter the game 5-6.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.